All right, we are looking at states of consciousness. When we talk about consciousness, we're looking at that sensation and perception, which is going to give us the consciousness. Okay, so there's more to it than just being awake and aware. It's what you're feeling, how you're perceiving it, and that is the consciousness there. Wakefulness is going to be the sensory awareness, the thought, and the behavior that we have. Now, we're not going to cover a lot of sleep. You guys need to make sure that you read that on your own, but we'll look at a little bit of it. We'll look at that the biological rhythms is that internal cycle that you have, that circadian rhythm, where it tells your body naturally that it's time to start calming down and we need to get ready for bed and go to sleep. And then whenever we are waking, it's time to wake up. The light is starting to shine. So it tells our body to naturally wake up, okay? The hypothalamus is responsible for maintaining this homeostasis to give you that balance, that optimal level within the biological system. So here's just kind of a look at the circadian rhythms of how when you're sleeping, the time frame of what is going on with your natural circadian rhythm. Melatonin is what your body naturally releases whenever you are getting sleepy. It is kind of controlled by daylight typically. The pineal gland is going to release that melatonin as evening comes to get us to calm down and get ready for sleep. So it's kind of our natural way for us to calm down and get ready for the night. Sleep regulation is the brain's control of switching between sleep and wakefulness. So again, that's that cycle to help you to work with the world and the rhythms of what's going on with that. Now, each person does have their own circadian pattern and that activity. There are things that are going to disrupt our sleep. So the first thing that would disrupt our sleep could be jet lag. If we've traveled a while and our internal circadian rhythm doesn't match our environment, we'll experience fatigue, sluggishness, irritability, insomnia. And you guys know if you've traveled or if you've just gone a distance, whether it's in the car or the plane, you're super exhausted even though you've just sat and rode the whole entire way. So that's some of the jet lag. Your body, there's just a mismatch in that internal circadian rhythm. And then if you have rotating shift work, which anybody can know just by hearing that would not be fun nor easy, that some days you work late, some days you work early. It's hard for your body to catch up and to maintain a normal circadian rhythm. So you'll feel exhausted, agitated, sleep problems, even signs of depression and anxiety can happen whenever we're not getting the sleep that's necessary. Some people will use what's called a SAD lamp. It's for seasonal affect depression, but it's really a bright light that kind of helps your body to know, oh, it's morning, and it kind of gives it that pep. It can reduce the depression and anxiety symptoms. A lot of people will use it whenever it is rainy or winter, if they have that seasonal affect depression, or people who don't have it, but they just realize that they don't feel as well or energetic without the light, then they'll use those type of lamps. Sleep debt is the result of insufficient sleep on a chronic basis. A lot of us like to think that we can just sleep later and gain that sleep later, but we do get a debt, and it doesn't, once you miss it, you miss it. You can't get more. You can't replace what you'd already missed. A sleep rebound is going to be a sleep-deprived individual will take a shorter time to fall asleep during subsequent opportunities for sleep. Okay, that's just your time you're falling asleep between things. Different ages need more sleep or less sleep. So we know that babies need the most sleep. They'll need anywhere between 14 and 17 hours. It's all they do when they're first born. And then as we get older, we don't need as much sleep. But as we age, it takes us longer to get the amount of sleep that we need. So people in their late adulthood, they may go to bed at 4 o'clock and they don't get out of bed until 4 or 5 in the morning. They're really only sleeping 7 or 8 hours, but it takes their body so much longer. They have so many disturbances in their sleep that they need to lay there longer than somebody who is younger. So sleep is really, a lot of people think that it's wasted, that it's not necessary, but really sleep is important. It is helpful for you to have that sleep-wake cycle, for your brain to reset, for it to kind of work through what it's doing. There's lots of different things. So it's really important for us to get sleep. Hormones can be impacted by lack of sleep as well. Why do we sleep? It is essential. We just talked about that it's important to restore your resources. It is very important for our cognitive function and our memory. If you've already done the sleep study, then you know how important it is. Our memory is less if we're not sleeping. We don't think as clear. So there can be issues from that. And then we also can gain weight if we're not sleeping properly. Our stress levels can be higher without sleep. When you get the right amount of sleep, your mood is better, your motor coordination is better. Research tells us that driving sleep deprived and driving drunk are equivalent. So it is important for us to sleep, for us to do the things that we need to get done and to do them in a safe manner. There's different stages of sleeping. The first one's transitional. That's kind of when you're asleep and you're awake, and so you can kind of feel that your heartbeat is slowing down, the respiration is slowing down, your body temperature is slowing down, and you're in those alpha waves. So you're really not asleep yet, but you're starting to get there. Stage 2, there's going to be deep relaxation. You hit the theta waves, and you'll start to see high bursts of frequency brain waves happening in this stage. Stages 3 and 4 are known as slow wave sleep. These are your delta waves. Your respiration and your heart rate are very low. You're in a deeper sleep. Then you hit your REM sleep, and that's with the rapid eye movement. This is typically where we see dreams happening, paralysis of voluntary muscles, and the brain waves are very similar to the waves that we see with wakefulness. But people are, I don't know, they're just in a different level, and so they're dreaming, and there's more activity that's happening in this stage. But it lasts, I was going to say, it would last for a shorter amount of time. We feel like we dream for hours. Really, it's maybe 10 minutes to 15 minutes the whole night. Just depends on how much REM sleep you're getting. Dreams, there's lots of meanings across dreams and across different cultures. Sigmund Freud was one of the first ones who said that that's a way for us to gain access to the unconscious, that the actual content in the dream was the manifest content, and the latent content was the hidden meaning in the dream. So if you're dreaming about your boss, it may not necessarily mean that you like your boss. Let's say you had a romantic dream. It could mean that you had a romantic dream about your boss, but really your boss was the last person that you emailed, and so you were thinking about them, and then maybe you watched a Hallmark movie or something, and you paired the two together. Or there's somebody you had a crush on, and you were thinking about them, but then you wrote your boss, and you just paired the two together. So there's usually a latent meaning behind the manifest content. Carl Jung, he believed that dreams allowed us to tap into the collective unconscious, meaning that we share this with all people across cultures, and so there's like certain symbols and dreams that are reflected in these universal archetypes, but it was something that was kind of universal and that everybody tapped into this same thing. Dreams represent life events that are important to the dreamer. It may represent a state of proto-consciousness or a virtual reality that helps the person during consciousness. So a lot of times we work through what we've done in the day. We've just kind of processed it. Lucid dreaming is going to be certain aspects of wakefulness that are maintained during dreaming state. So a person becomes aware that they are dreaming. This has happened to probably all of us. As we're sleeping, we're starting to wake up, become aware of it. If it's a really good dream, we try to stay asleep so we can find out how it's going to turn out. Insomnia is defined as difficulty for falling asleep or even staying asleep for at least 3 times a night for 1 month. It is a common sleep disorder, and it could be associated with depression. There are lots of factors that affect this. Age if you're using drugs, if you're exercising or not, your mental status, bedtime routines. A lot of times bedtime routines impact our sleep and we don't realize that. There's lots of ways we can treat it. Several ways to treat it are to reduce screen time an hour before bedtime, to only use your bedroom for sleep or even sleep and sex. That way, when your body's in there, it knows that I sleep and I don't watch TV and I don't get woke up. And when I get in there, it tells my body, oh, I'm here to sleep. So you don't have a TV in there. You don't watch TV in there at all. You don't eat in there. You simply sleep in your room. And even to turn the lights down an hour before, screen time down an hour before, not ever watching anything in your bed, on your phone or anything, because that confuses your body if you're struggling with sleep. Learning how to manage your stress can also help. Changes in problematic behavior could contribute to insomnia. And then learning cognitive behavioral therapy, teaching your body how to cognitively process the problem and the behaviors, and then how to calm your body down and get it to learn how to sleep. So there's several things that you can do to overcome insomnia. Parasomnia would be whenever you have unwanted motor behavior in that sleep cycle. So maybe you're waking up and sleepwalking. Maybe there's muscle paralysis, and so you're unable to move anything within your body. Sometimes that can happen because you work out too hard or high levels of physical activity during REM. It could be anti-anxiety medication. There are several different reasons. You could have restless leg syndrome where there's this uncomfortable sensation in your legs when you're trying to fall asleep. And so you move your legs a lot to try to relieve that uncomfortableness. And that can be treated with medicine. And then night terrors we see where the sleeper has some sense of panic. They're kind of unable to wake up. It's a very scary time. Sometimes they are screaming and crying in their sleep and they're not even waking up. And we see this a lot with children. And the biggest issue that we see is because of sleep deprivation that's going on and happening here.